Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is a two-verse passage, Sabad, from Gujri Mahalla Panjwa, composition of the fifth Nanak. The recitation: Hai nahi Kou Bujanaharo, Janne kavan bata, Siv baranche ar sagal mon jan, Geh na sakahe gata. प्रभ की अगम अगाध कथा, सुनिए अवर अवर विद, बूझिए बकन कथन रहता रहाओ। आपे भगता आप स्वामी, आपन संग रता, नानक को प्रभ पूर रहयो है, Pekhyo Jatar Katha. This passage addresses the fact that we are essentially blinded by our own preconceptions of things, and that creates a situation where we cannot apprehend reality for what it is. We are seeing it through the structures of our mind. And so the Guru addresses that. He begins by saying, Hai nahi Kou Bujanaharo. So he establishes the fact that eventually, ultimately, no one can really scrutinize or comprehend the ways and functions of the Creator. Janne kavana bhita. Even the gods, Siva and Brahma, Siva Baranj, are Sagala Monajan and sages. Gaha na sake gata, could not grasp, have not grasped the essence of the Creator. So the essence of reality remains inscrutable to our senses, because Prabhagi Agam Agad Katha, the narrative of the Prabh, the indwelling self, the controller, is Agam and Agad. It's inscrutable and unfathomable. Why is he saying that? What he's saying is that our senses are very limited. They just have a certain bandwidth. You can see, hear only certain frequencies. You can function within certain limits. Your body has defined limits on what it can do. And that's the controlled environment in which we live. But that's not reality. Reality has no such constraints. That is why it is unfathomable. Ape bhagta, aap swami, apan sangarata, nanak ko prabh poor rahyo hai, pekhyo jatar kata. So, ape bhagta, it is the devotee, it is in fact the observer, it is the master, it is the observed. It is absorbed in its own essence. So the observer and the observed are essentially one. So this verse here in the end stresses the non-dual nature of reality. Nirguna aap sargun bhiyohi. That ultimately all distinctions between subjective and objective reality are illusory. The individual, the Atman, the Atam, is not different in essence from the Creator. What is observing and what is being observed are essentially the same reality. So therefore, the journey of seeking is a process where the self, with a capital S, the creator, assumes the form of the individual and seeks to realize its own true nature, which is also the self. So that's the game. So Suniya avar-abid, it's a very interesting term. This is the process of how we absorb sensory data, information, and then we form preconceptions about the nature of reality. And what are preconceptions? They are essentially our biases. And biases tend us to blind. They tend to blind us to the nature of reality. So if you were to take a practical example, if you have formed an opinion about somebody based on some experience or based on what you've been taught, then even if that somebody were to do something positive, you would still see that individual through the lens of your bias. So to discern reality for the way it is means to step into a creative space, an expanded consciousness which permeates reality. It is only from there that you can actually affect any creative transformation. Because an individual who steps into that consciousness becomes sensitive to its own observational bias. In other words, in day-to-day life, you will not remain judgmental because we judge things, events, and people instantly. This teaches you to step back and understand your own biases that you bring to a given situation. So in practical terms, what this is telling you is don't be judgmental because you are blinded by your biases. Understand your biases. So anyone who understands his or her own biases will essentially drop them. That's liberation. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.